Yeah, just to really say, it's a topic that's really close to my heart, I suppose. I sit on the mental health subcommittee here in the Oireachtas as well. And I'm just really aware that it's such a big issue. And I think it's really going to blow up in terms of mental health and well-being, particularly in everything we've had to endure this past year, both for our students and our teaching staff. I suppose it's been mentioned here again, cyberbullying, and I know there most recently as well, just about homophobic. And it's about the tools that we need for supporting our students, our teaching staff and our parents. Can I ask maybe each of the teaching organisations, what would that training look like? I mean, could it be online? Could it involve role play? I mean, how does that work in a school setting? What would be the most useful for teachers, school board members and parents? And then maybe how do we strengthen career guidance teachers in terms of mediation, particularly, I suppose, at post-primary level? So I just think, what are the ways that you feel would be useful to connect? Thank you very much.
Senator, so Anne, if you could answer that first, please, from an ASTI perspective.
Thank you. I suppose even just basic training in I suppose the whole world of computers, that young people grow up at 2 years old, they can turn on their mother's phone, whereas a lot of teachers, even I think COVID saw them using a computer probably regularly for the first time. So that's a start. Training would have to take place. I think there's even simple basic training in bullying, because a lot of people mightn't fully appreciate what it is if they've never experienced it, or can't appreciate the depths of it, or might dismiss it as being something that isn't so bad for people. So I think training in that is needed. Training for guidance counsellors. Again, I think even more than training, because I suppose of all the staff, they would be very well trained. I think it's more time to spend with each student and more time to listen to them, because they, after all, have two roles. They've guidance in terms of guiding them on their career paths, but also on counselling students. But if the rest of us as teachers could have some of those, that type of training in counselling and guidance, that would help us enormously as well.
Evan?
Sorry. Yes, Chair. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, look, obviously we would welcome training, whether it's face-to-face, whether it's online, or a blended approach in relation to that. And I suppose training, we do need to look out for the signs of bullying. Obviously, and that is crucially important. It can be happening on the yard, it can be happening at home. How does a teacher, they're in a classroom full of 30 pupils, so we would welcome a reduction in class size as well. Identifying the signs of pupils who are being bullied, and I think that would be crucially important as well. And obviously, looking at homophobic bullying, teachers would welcome comprehensive training in understanding LGBT plus terminology, LGBT plus inclusion and visibility within the school setting, and LGBT plus inclusion and visibility within the curriculum as well. The books that are being used in school, how many of them make reference to same-sex families and so forth. So that they are a number of initiatives and I suppose steers that can be given in any training programme, and we're happy to expand further on that, Deputy Senator, if you wish. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sullivan.
David, and David Duffy, if you want to respond.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Senator. Yeah, I think I may say the mode of it probably isn't as important as the availability of it. And what's happening at the moment is there simply isn't enough CPD available. And that, as David quite rightly points out, needs to be extensive for all parties, and it needs to cover all forms of bullying. So it needs to cover homophobic bullying, it needs to cover cyberbullying, it needs to cover traditional bullying, it needs to cover racist bullying, etc. Also, the same sort of thing applies to some extent in relation to your question on guidance support and training of guidance counsellors. Again, possibly the mode of that isn't as important as the fact that we would have availability of ex-quota guidance, which sadly hasn't existed now for the best part of 10 years. Also, as David quite rightly points out, for the primary sector, the same thing would apply in the post-primary sector. A reduction in PTO would be very important in terms of preventing problems in the first place, and also the availability and the restoration of year-ahead provision in post-primary would also be important in terms of prevention. And I think we could all agree prevention of the problem would be a lot better than trying to fix the problem later. Thank you.
And just last point, I suppose parents, is there a way to help engage parents at all? I'm sorry, that's just my last point. Maybe Mr. Duffy, if you'd like to just comment on that. You might be mute, Mr. Duffy or Mr. O'Sullivan.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry, my apologies,
you're
Senator.
there now.
Actually, my system froze for a second, so
No, you're okay.
I couldn't pick up on what was happening. In terms of, I do believe training should be available for all stakeholders. Everyone needs to be involved in this. That includes boards of management, includes parents, it includes local community, and yes, of course, it includes both teachers and students. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much, Chair.